Can you tell us about the efforts going on to pull people out of this primary school?
Sure, I could tell you that there are efforts going on all across the city. There's over 40 buildings that have collapsed. There are people still in the area of the primary school. There's 30 students that they still don't know if they're alive or dead, if they're beneath the rubble. So people are still trying to get them out. And there are, I just traveled from the south of the city to the north of the city, and they are urging people not to go out if they don't need to. But there are all different kinds of rescue brigades throughout the city, people on bicycles, people on motorcycles, and people really are still in many of the areas where the buildings collapsed. There is no power, so they're urging people, even asking film production companies to come out with their major lights and shine lights on the rescue areas. But also many people have come out to volunteer, and then it makes it hard for them to actually hear if there are any people alive. But I will say that here in Mexico City, people are much more mobilized. 32 years after the earthquake that struck in '85, there are volunteer brigades setting up shelters, delivering food, and really trying to go and rescue people that are still in many of these buildings that have collapsed, that are trapped underneath.
Absolutely. I mean, Andalusia, you mentioned the earthquake 32 years ago that was huge, killing thousands of people. But let's not forget there was one just 10 days ago, which left scores of people dead. How's the city sort of recovering from the shock of that? I know that was huge and further away, but the shock of that must be still impinging on people.
Yes, there was the earthquake. There was here. There was not much impact. People were just scared. But the problem is that because there was that earthquake, and then today, being that it is the anniversary of the huge earthquake from 1985, they do a simulation. And so people, when they actually heard the alert for this earthquake, that was a real earthquake, many people did not leave their homes because they did not think that it was real. They thought that it was just another simulation of an earthquake. So that was also part of the problem. But I will say I went to the most affected areas of the earthquake in Oaxaca, Uchitan, and a few other towns around there. And I will say that I was there for 3 days after the earthquake, and I saw almost no government help. The government kept saying that they were helping people. I interviewed numerous people who had lost their family members, lost their homes, had no food and no shelter, and all of them, I repeat, at least 20 people I interviewed, not a single one of them had received help from the government. So I really hope that here, being the metropolitan area, that there is much more help that the people will actually receive, considering that the federal government is based here, and there are much more brigades rescuing people. But people in the area of Oaxaca and Chiapas still need help, and especially the fact that it is now they are suffering from aftershocks, and here in Mexico City, we may be suffering from aftershocks.
Absolutely. Would it be a worrying a trend if those people in Oaxaca and elsewhere were not getting the help they needed because of this earthquake on Mexico City? And you mentioned the government. The President Enrique Pena Nieto has been out in the last sort of hour or so observing some of the sites that have been hit. What's he been saying, Andalusia?
He went and to the school and gave his condolences. He has been urging people not to panic and to stay calm, and also to prepare themselves for the aftershocks. He presented a message saying, that they are deploying the Army and the Marines and will be on hand to help people. I mean,
Andalusia, you sound skeptical that his words are going to be helpful.
I am. I have never reported on an earthquake so bad as what I saw in Oaxaca, and I will say that it was embarrassing to see the lack of government help. There was no government help that I saw whatsoever. I was there for 3 days, and these are people who lost their family members, lost their homes. There were children playing amongst the rubble, and every single person told me that they had not received help. So I will say I'm very skeptical that the government will deliver the help, but perhaps a little more so here than they did in that area, being that it's like slightly more isolated. But also it is known that in 1985, the people that did the most help were citizen brigades, the Topos, which is a citizen rescue brigade that emerged in 1985 and is out there rescuing people today. They actually traveled to Oaxaca and were rescuing people just last week, and will continue to do it here. So I am hopeful that all of these citizen brigades will be working to rescue people, and hopefully with the proximity of the government here, they also will be doing their part.
Sometimes in these situations, hope is all that we have left. Andalusia, thank you very much.